Hey, good morning, Justice Warriors. How are you guys doing? I'm doing well this morning. I'm just kind of getting a slow start. If you're familiar with my routine, you've recognized that. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. And if you're not familiar with my routine, welcome. And I hope that you enjoy our discussion. So, let's see. Today is December 21st. Just about 9:30. um, I want to just say thank you for being here. Everything that I say is my opinion only, strictly for the sake of opening up a discussion, hoping to start a conversation and possibly educational and made specifically for YouTube. So, YouTube is an entertainment platform, and I just always like to recognize that. Good morning, Incognito Mom and Justice Caton. Jennifer Taylor, good morning. So, thanks so much for being here, you guys. Get me all fired up. And like I said, I just been kind of having a slow start this morning, just a lot going on, getting close to Christmas. And these cases, holy smokes, you guys, so much momentum in the Kylie Rodney situation and in the Idaho 4 situation. So let me just start by showing you this beautiful Christmas decoration that one of my subscribers made. Can you see that really well? It's so cool. She got these made on Amazon and she sent them to some of the creators. Personally, I think she should make them available for other people to possibly purchase, but that's up to her. I just thought it was really a great idea and super sweet, and I treasure it. I really do. Hey, Pixie Knickers, good morning, and Smiling Injun and Michelle. How are you guys? So, my goodness, where to start? I guess we'll start with Kevin Neese, right? You guys are familiar with the video he did yesterday evening? The live that he kept pushing back an hour and then another hour. Good morning. And has anyone seen Kylie's case from Crime Watch with Kenny? No. Crime Watch with Kenny, he's awesome. He was on the panel for Squirrels on Fire last night when I was falling asleep, as was Kevin Neese. They were doing a great show. I saw this morning that it had been like a 6-hour show, I think. Man, they cover so much. So I highly recommend Squirrels on Fire, and I highly recommend Crime Watch with Kenny. I'm excited to see it. Where's the coffee? Blackella says. So I'm past the coffee onto the water. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming. So I'm super excited to see Crime Watch with Kenny. The man is razor sharp, in my opinion. And Kevin had been super excited about doing his live, and he was in our chat yesterday talking about it, how it was going to be earth-shattering, groundbreaking with Kylie Rodney, Ms. Kylie Rodney's case. And then he had to walk it back before he started his show. He was told that if he shared some of the information that he had, it would jeopardize the investigation, and there was no way he was going to do that. So I could tell he was really struggling to not share. Like, he was so excited to pass on this great news. But just knowing that there's great news, just knowing that the investigation is being investigated by an outside party, just knowing that, yes, it is an open investigation. I mean, the situation with Upchurch getting re-involved. I mean, he wouldn't just be getting re-involved for no reason. He's Upchurch. Come on. He knows what he's doing. And the Joker that was trying to shut him down on his show, the Lair, I like the Joker better, but why is he trying so hard to shut it down? Why is he trying so hard to say nobody's talking about this case? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So, yes, Kevin wanted to tell us, but he couldn't. Yeah, he did share a lot. So I'd say watch his live if you haven't seen it yet. He was able to say quite a bit and, read between the lines and that kind of thing. But one of my favorite creators that I don't know if I've shared this creator with my people in a long time. The name of the channel is Unmasked. So I first found this channel with the Chris Watts case, and they did an amazing series called Unmasking NK. And I don't know why my battery thing just came on. I'm plugged in. Well, all right. If it dies, then you guys just have a heads up that it's acting weird. Probably because I'm talking about Ms. Kylie Rodney, right? That's the handbrake hand. Oh my goodness. So yesterday I did my 2 videos. I did my afternoon video on a case that I had wanted to cover for so long. And I'm so glad that I finally broke the ice with it and just kind of to find out where other people are at. That is with the Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner double homicide that happened in Moab 2 days after the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie domestic violence incident. So, um, law enforcement has tried to swear up and down that the two weren't connected. And I'm sorry, but Brian is a psycho, was a psycho, is a psycho. And Kylan worked at the Moonflower health food store where Gabby and Brian had been in their fight, where the domestic violence call originated from. And they don't have a lot of homicides in Moab. Moab is a very, very small town, very tight knit. I want to say it's like 5,000 people. It's a very active town in the summertime because of the national parks that are nearby, but it's a very tiny town with a super low homicide rate. So to have that double homicide when chances are that Brian Laundrie was still in town. And then 3 days later, he flew to Florida to clean out a storage unit, emergency clean out storage unit, and then flew back 6 days later to Salt Lake City where Gabby was in a hotel allegedly. And then what? I want to say it was the 25th that they think that he murdered her. There was the incident at the Mary Piglets on the 25th in Jackson, Wyoming. And then there was the videotape surveillance of the Whole Foods grocery shopping, maybe an hour or two after that. And then there's the van lifers, Red, White, and Bethune, that had driven by the van as they're shutting one of the back doors, that infamous footage. And I think that law enforcement is under the assumption that that was around the time that Gabby was murdered, was around the time that Red, White, and Bethune drove by. I think that was August 25th. Anyway, I wasn't sure yesterday the exact date, and I just wanted to clarify on that. So Marco DM says the glairer. Let me highlight that one. The name alone tells me everything. Guy has a repugnant criminal record. I have records access I pay for. Oh my goodness, good to know, including physical assault on women and children multiple times. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marco. He is absolutely repugnant. That's a great word to describe him. He just makes me want to hurl everything about him, especially his laugh. Oh man. I would say check it out, but don't check it out because he's just so revolting. He's so disgusting. That does not surprise me in the least. And I definitely think that he's like a hired gun basically for YouTube to talk smack and just be a pain in the ass. I can't believe he has anybody watch his channel, but who knows? I mean, either they're fools or they're part of the BS, right? Or both. So let's see. Criminals hang out with other criminals. Yep, absolutely. So, and yeah, they're probably a lot of them are hired to pretend that they support him, and I'm sure some of them are hot models and stuff, so then that brings in more dudes to watch his oh, it's just the whole thing is just a sham, right? Anyway, back to the broad stroke of Kylie Rodney, Kaylin Schulte, or Kylan Schulte, um, and Crystal Turner, the married couple, the newlyweds. And then we've got, of course, our Idaho 4. So I'm sorry to bring another K name into the mix when it's already so hard with Kaylee and Kylie and now Kylan. That was not a really smart thing on my timing here, but maybe it is. I don't know. I feel like there's all this synergistic momentum with the Idaho 4 and with Ms. Kylie Rodney just in the last day or two. So maybe there can be some synergistic momentum going with Kylan and Crystal because that case getting wrapped up was a pile of malarkey. I mean, come on. Dog the bounty hunter got there to help after being summoned basically by Kaylin's dad. And I wanted to speak a little bit more about that case. Um, and then the very next day, like within 24 hours of Dog arriving, law enforcement said, "Oh, nothing to see over here. We already got this." Okay. And like I said, for the guy to be conveniently deceased, we know that the women had been texting some friends saying that there was some creepy guy camping near them, like way too close. And if it had been that guy Adam, they would have recognized him because he worked briefly at the McDonald's that Crystal worked at. So I don't think it was him. And the way law enforcement tried to instantly say that there was no possible way there was any cross pollination with these two cases, with the Petito case and with Kylan and Crystal, was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. Um, and it just doesn't make sense, the whole thing with Laundrie flying back to Florida on the 17th, unless he was freaking out because he had just done this insane crime and wanted to blow out of town and, what a jackass. Anyway, let me read some of your comments. BTJ is still sending me notifications even though I have him blocked. Eee, that's annoying. Yeah. And they cuffed and detained, questioned the poor woman that found Kylan and Crystal. Marco, I was not aware of them cuffing her. I know that they went to her home. She actually moved out of the area to a different state because of all the trauma. And they showed up at her home out of state and, were marked cars and basically ruined her life there just by the neighbors seeing that she had trouble with the law. Basically, I'm not 100% sure that that's accurate. If you want to share more, I did follow that case super closely when it was all happening, like super super closely. And I have always wanted to share it with, I didn't have a channel back then. And then when I started my channel, it was all about Kylie Rodney. And then I just wasn't sure when it would be a good time to bring that case up. And it seems like it is a decent time to bring it up now. Again, hopefully, the synergistic energy of movement happening with the Idaho 4, movement happening with Kylie Rodney, and who knows, maybe there can be some magic for Kylan and Crystal. I would hope. Um, it's still stuck in my mind. Creepy guy. You can't get no more creepy than Brian Laundrie. I know. I know. And, you know, it just smacks of his involvement. I mean, just the timing. The other thing that's so stupid with the Petito case is that there's never really been a timeline of when Petito and Laundrie arrived into the Moab area and how long they stayed there. But something I forgot to mention yesterday, there were a couple of things, is that Gabby did have a pin dropped on her Dirt app right by where Kylan and Crystal had their homestead, where they had their camp set up. So that's pretty much a fact that's been cross-referenced and is fairly well known by people that followed the case closely. So to have that in that, LaSalle Loop, which is a very large road, it's like a rim of some mountaintops that just has incredible views of the whole area that I've never been to. I would love to go check that area out. So Blackella says, major points, Kaylin not go into water Friday night, but it was Kylie they pulled out of lake on the 21st. Tow truck guy did see Kylie and her car next day, Saturday. Discuss. LOL. Yeah, we can get to that for sure. So Blockel is giving us the Cliff's Notes version of Kevin Neese and everything that he had to say. And he had a lot to say, even with not being able to share so much of what he wanted to share. Um, and so uh let's see, the Maven 2017 says timeline jumps from Moab to Salt Lake City on the Petito case with 4 to 5 days missing in between. It's only a few hours drive. Exactly. And Moab's a cool town, a super cool hip town, and you've got amazing views and parks. And Gabby and Brian were in no hurry on their trip. They were taking their time and staying places for a period of time. So I always figured that they had already been there for a few days. They probably had already come across Kylan, maybe Crystal, but especially Kylan, just because that woman was 6 feet tall. She had dreads down to her waist. She was extremely pretty, like a model, like Gabby was too. They were both like you know, America's Next Top Model kind of thing. And just being so funky and working at the health food store where she was going to have a lot of contact with the public. And we know that Brian and Gabby ate and shopped healthy. So they wouldn't have been going to like the regular market so much as they'd be going to places like Whole Foods or the Moonflower. So it has also occurred to me that Kylan might have told them where she was camping, that like, she recommended it. And the, park ranger, I wanna say her name is Melissa Hull, that came to the domestic violence call at the, Delicate Arches entrance. Hers is the only body cam video that's never been released, and we all saw on other body cam video that she was really having a heart-to-heart discussion with Gabby, and even in small clips that we saw from other, body cam videos, she basically told Gabby to kick the douchebag to the curb. Remember that? So, my guess is that there's all kinds of stuff in her conversation on her body cam that they don't want released. Again, they don't wanna hurt the tourism, and the park ranger may have also recommended the LaSalle Loop as a place to camp. Those cops, when they sent Gabby to go camp by herself in the van that night, was that the most ludicrous crap you've ever heard of? Let's send this beautiful 21-year-old blondie who looks like she could be 15. Let's send her out into the wilderness by herself to camp overnight. Like, are you guys, like, on crack, or was that intentional so you could go hook up with her? I mean, come on. Come on. Eee, I said it. Okay. I mean, seriously, I've always wanted to point that out. So, those guys were stunned by Gabby. Who wouldn't be, right? And they were probably stunned by what a loser boyfriend she had, and they were probably trying to figure out how they could, situate themselves. I just gotta say it. I mean, I'm just keeping it real, right? So who knows? Who the heck knows? Um, I don't think Brian Laundrie stayed at that motel. Right, and how come we've never gotten any news about where either one of them stayed? No information at all. where they stayed the entire time they were in Moab. Like, that's suspicious. You always wanna have a timeline, there was a long period of time, a month, when Gabby was missing before they found her remains. Where is the timeline of when they arrived in Moab and when they left Moab, especially with that serious, significant domestic violent situation? What a joke. Breathe, Justice. We're here for you. Say whatever you want, please. Love you guys. Thank you. Yeah, those are some things I've wanted to say, and I said them. So there we go. So, the situation with Dog the bounty hunter coming into town, and then suddenly law enforcement saying, "Oh, we already have it solved." Remember, he had gone to Florida to help find Brian Laundrie, and he was, running into a lot of trouble. And then he left the area, I think 10 days before the parents magically found his dry bag, his half note. Oh, and I wanted to say, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought about this. With all that stuff in his dry bag, his journal, his letter, his notebook, his half note, his Moab coffee roaster's hat, his photographs of himself and Gabby, where was his freaking driver's license? It wasn't there because he had to take it with him. That to me was one of the biggest indicators. Dilly Owen says, "That is so messed up. I don't care if he had scratch marks all over his face. The young woman should have been taken care of first." Exactly. Exactly, Dilly. I mean, come on. Those guys, I seriously have always thought, every single time I've watched those videos from the very first time, I thought those guys were like on fire as soon as they saw this hot young Gabby, especially when they found out that she was 21 and not, 14 like she looked like she could have been. She was smoking hot, and that cute outfit she had on, like the back of her top and the zigzag way it tied, and it was a crop top, and she had on the cute baggy shorts, probably with a thong. I mean, just because that's what girls wear these days, right? I mean, she was so drop dead gorgeous and so young looking. So, yeah, they were absolutely stunned by her. You could see it on all of them. And then they're trying to handle her with kid gloves and figure out what to do. And I have always had the gut feeling that their motivation was, how do we get her away from this guy so we can maybe have a half a chance with this hottie? That's I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Dilly Owen says, and if creepy Brian Laundrie so much had a hint that those cops were checking her out, you know how that works. He's angry at her because they looked at her. Dilly, you are super freaking on it. I really have never gone there. I never have really gone there. Yeah, that's extremely insightful, in my opinion. I can't believe they didn't arrest Brian's parents for obstructing a crime investigation. Right. That's because those parents, I don't know if you guys know this, they're millionaires. They are millionaires, at least on paper. They probably still own a juicing company. I think Gabby worked for their juicing company. Um, they have a business with Brian's sister and her husband where they do like the juicing machine repair, parts and repair. They're loaded. The laundries are loaded. Absolutely. And remember, they owned a condo that Gabby and Brian might have gone and lived in for a little while before their trip. I mean, because Gabby was living with Brian in that area, Northport, for I think at least a year. But yeah, they totally obstructed justice, as did Steve Bertolini. So Gabby's parents are getting somewhere with their lawsuit, I believe. I hope. I hope. I hope. All these sadly deceased sweet girls definitely make some beautiful angels. They do. And when you think about Gabby, Kylie, Kaylin, Crystal, all of them were on the federal parkland. And I've mentioned about the national park's own Bureau of Investigation that we never hear about. But we all have heard that Sammy Smith's mommy and daddy work with the federal parks, right? I mean, it's pretty freaking creepy. He probably got a new driver's license the way it looks to me, if you know what I mean. Right. Right, absolutely. But why didn't he leave his old driver's license there with his dry bag to, plant the evidence to make it look like he was there? And another thing I didn't say yesterday is I don't know if you guys know how easy it is to buy things on the black market, like anything you want on the dark web. It's horrible. You can buy parts, you can buy a whole, I'm not even going to say what it is I'm referencing, but the things that were left behind to pretend, like really, really dark, gross crap. Like trafficking isn't just, you know, the sex industry. Human trafficking is much broader than just that. If you get what I'm saying, I just don't even want to say it because it's so freaking disgusting. Don't forget about Trinity, Bacchus, or Dante. Thank you, Squirrely Burger. I just was trying to keep a little bit of a focus as I'm, talking about so many cases at once. So, yeah, absolutely. Trinity and Dante, I haven't followed as well, I have to admit. But yeah, Trinity Bacchus, that case strikes me that she was assaulted in that house. And the whole storyline that Auntie Ashley has about the TV being loud and the yelling outside. And to me, that whole storyline is to cover for the noise that neighbors might have heard or people walking by might have heard. But none of that story, I don't believe any of it. None. Zilch. Absolutely disgusting. So yeah, it sounds like the suspicions with Kylie Rodney's person that you might call her mother. I can't really call her that. It sounds like there's a lot there, like all those fake tears, all that, you know, we got this. Like, yeah, she was scared. She didn't want anybody looking into anything because she has a lot to hide, probably more than any of us have ever even thought for a second. A lot. So let me read some of your comments here. And Marco says Gabby was over 18. I don't know if there was something you said before that, but right, she certainly didn't look like she was over 18. She could have passed for 14, if you ask me. But women around that age are often like that. Like you can't tell if they're 14 or 30. I mean, when you look at people like Kylie Gonzalez, she was 21 also, but she could pass for 30, 31 easily, in my opinion. And let's see, Dilly Owen says he probably got it. Okay, I read that one. Can't wait till they go to court next year. I'm going to highlight that because it's just so nice to find some hope in these cases. The Kylie Rodney case, I've never given up hope, but it certainly was looking a little bleak, to say the least. And yeah, the missing 411 stuff. Yep. I believe that Trinity knew what happened to Kylie, Sandra Taylor says, and I believe that you could be accurate with that. Um, Absolutely. Yeah, with the connection of Trinity's boyfriend, Francis, his mother, um, Sunshine Fowler, being at Kylie's funeral or celebration of life, creepy crap. Um, It's absolutely tragic, all these young, beautiful people losing their lives to psychos, and they're just walking around spying on their next victims. Yes, pixie knickers, and what really gets me, kind of the theme of my channel and my, life work, is the victimization of women. And yeah, there are some guys that have been victimized here too, Dante and Ethan Chapin, if I'm saying his last name right, Ethan yeah, Chapin. It's not Charlie Chaplin, it's Chapin. But some of these victims are not women, but so often it is women, especially young women and especially attractive young women. And I just think that our sexist patriarch society has not made these women, the victimization of women, a priority. And hopefully that's changing. I think it is. I really do think it is. And I'm trying to help push that along. Um, so hey, Crime Watch with Kenny, did you just make a new one? A new video? Because I check every so often and I'm always looking for something on your channel. So if you could just drop a yes or a no, let us know if you got a new one up in the last 24 hours. That would be great. So yeah, I saw you on Squirrels on Fire last night. That was a really good show, but I had to fall asleep. JW posted comments on Kylie SoundCloud about SA hotline here. Let me try to pin that one. Okay, there, it just took a minute. So it was like on a delay. What else? Alistair Grant. It's sad that you need investigators to investigate the investigators. Good point, Alistair Grant. Thank you for saying that. I want to highlight that too. I don't like to like switch up the highlighting so quickly though, because then it's like people might miss it. But that's another sharp one. It's sad that you need investigators to investigate the investigators. It is absolutely sad. It's ridiculous. How to develop ways for boys to grow into well-adjusted young men instead of predatory psychos. And Blackella, I mentioned yesterday the precise ages of my children, and so I have 2 girls, 2 boys, and if any of my kids did anything to hurt anybody, out of the love for my kids and the love for God and humanity, I would want to protect them in directing them to do the right thing and confess. No matter how bad it was, no matter how gruesome. And God forbid that my children could ever get involved in something like that. But if that were to happen, I certainly wouldn't be trying to hide them from the authorities. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's not loving your child. In my opinion, that's just being a jackass. That's just being a narcissist. It's unrealistic too, because if you're hiding a fugitive, not only are you breaking the law, but you're putting that person in more danger. They're in more danger of getting killed by law enforcement. They're in danger of getting killed by doing more stupid crap. That's not a loving parent, in my opinion, at all. Like, that's just crap. That's just bullshit. Your kid does something wrong, you help your kid figure out how to straighten things out to the best of their ability, in my humble opinion. All right. I've been a mom for 20 years. I might know something. Knock on wood. Crime Watch with Kenny says, not yet. I'm working on it though, trying to work out how to use my Christmas presents to myself. I'm not that tech savvy. I'm with you, Kenny. I'm not very tech savvy either. I'm sure you guys have figured that out. The sad thing is, I've got all these super tech savvy people in my family. Basically, all 4 of my kids and my husband are like wizards with everything technological. And they are so mean about teaching me when I ask them. I have shared with my audience, and I'd love to share again, that my 10-year-old helped me get this channel up and running with a friend of mine. So the friend and my 10-year-old got me going. And then my 15-year-old taught me a lot. And I've tried to get my husband to help. I've tried to get the 18-year-old and the 20-year-old to help. They act like they will, but they never do. So, there's things. Once I figure something out, I'm good with it. Like I finally figured out all by my big self how to edit, right? And it's tricky. It's super tricky. And you just got to play around with stuff. But sometimes when you're playing around with stuff, you might delete something that you really didn't want to delete. So so I try to be careful. I try not to play around too much with when I'm unsupervised. Sorry for typos. I'm fixing now. I'm a boy. I'm pretty sure I'm nutty, but most men are good guys. Most men are not crazy nutters. I agree, Marco. I mean, my husband, I can attest to that. I mean, he's fantastic. Um, and I am a huge supporter of guys that are cool, right? I mean, I really love males, and if I ever sound like I'm a male bashing individual, I'm absolutely not. I'm a little bit boy crazy. I always have been my whole life. So I love my guys. I love my male friends. I've always made friends with guys just as easy, if not easier, than friends with females. So um, let's see. I saw a meme that said to remember that you taught them how to use a spoon. That's funny. Good morning, Kenny. This is a hard case. They killed her and covered up something big like Kylie and Trinity's cases. Um, and which one are you referring to, Michael McAllister? Because you're comparing it to Kylie and Trinity. Um, So, yeah, I'm curious if you want to share which one it is that you're making reference to. I absolutely mean Gabby's parents. First thing they do is reach out to Brian's parents and they won't even answer the phone. That had to be effed up. That would raise a red flag real quick. You are so on it, Dilly. You are so on it. Absolutely. Gotta clone some of these good guys y'all speak of. Michael, they sure did. They will soon be getting a knock. I'm sure of that. Yeah. So, getting into the Idaho 4 case, you guys, my goodness, there's so much going on there with that white car that was found in Eugene, Oregon, crashed. Did that white car's VIN number really come back to the 1122 King Road address in Moscow? That's what one of my commenters said yesterday. I think it was Larissa. I don't think she's here yet. Um, oh my God, I didn't mean to suggest you were man bashing in any way. I was just commenting. Well, some people might think that I am man bashing if I think just being a feminist, some people get offended by that. And, my thing with feminism is it's more like humanism. It's not so much, you know, I mean, women have been the second class citizens in our world for as long as there's been humans, probably. And I just think that's wrong. I think that women and men are equal. I definitely think women and men are equal. Um, so yeah, I don't think I man bash. I will bash women that I think are sexist MFs. And either direction, if they're sexist towards men or sexist towards women, women can be awful like that. I mean, it's just weird. You wouldn't think so. But I think those well-adjusted males need to be more proactive in calling out the nutters. That's such a good point, Blockella. That is such a great point. Yeah. To make it normal to be like emotional. It's fine for dudes to be emotional, right? They're human. Humans have emotions. And just to be, I mean, men do get stuck in that double bind that if they cry, they look weak. So they take on these heirs that can really guide them in the wrong direction, really be tough on them as well as the people around them. What was happening to Kylie that she sought emancipation? I can't even imagine. Jennifer Taylor, thank you for bringing up the emancipation. That was something that Kevin Neese brought up, that there was a lot more evidence of that being underway. And that says a lot. That says a lot. So, yeah, there was trouble in paradise. She was not happy at home. There was something big going on. I heard that they cleared the white Elantra from any involvement the Pascal show last night. All right, Phantasmic Ether, thank you for that. I think it was the Pascal show that had said the other thing earlier, but so yeah, just getting more updated information. Who's the first person to figure out this Gabby girl was first reported missing? Um, I think that would be the parents. Um, who's the first person to figure out when Gabby Petito was first reported missing. Right. Her parents didn't report it for like 11. It wasn't until the 11th day after Brian Laundrie returned to Florida. And I'm trying to remember how they would have even known he returned to Florida. Why is my battery running low when I got it plugged in? Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because it says you might want to plug in your PC. My PC is plugged in. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up just so I don't get cut off. So I'm sorry about that, you guys. I will get on for an afternoon video. Let's shoot for about 2 o'clock. And yeah, I'd hate to have my battery die on me mid-sentence, and I'll figure that out. I have no idea why the connection is not working because it is plugged in. So anyway, have I said all my spiels? Please hit that like button, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Something I heard Kevin Neese say in his video last night was that he lost 40 subscribers in a week. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think that his subs would be dropping off like flies like that on their own. Like that is probably something with a handbrake. So, Michael, she was probably crying with guilt. She would be able to leave her mom without having a say so, which makes sense. There's only one time I seen Kylie's mom crying. Oh my goodness. And that contorted face is so ugh, awful to watch. But yeah, it tricked a lot of people. It sucked a lot of people into feeling sorry for her. Um, so let's see. Am I covering everything before I'm going to wrap up to get back on later today? Um, just with oh, I did want to mention with taking the risk of getting cut off that Kylan Schulte has a brother who was murdered 6 years before she was murdered. His name is Macion. He went by Mackie Schulte. He was 15 years old. He was shot in the face by his 17-year-old friend, Seth Culver. He was 17 at the time. It was August 6th, 2015, I think. Actually, no, the murder happened in May of 2015 at 2:30 in the morning, and it was a big misunderstanding. And then August 6th might have been when they declared it a justifiable homicide. So there were no charges. And also, a lot of people don't know that Kylan had a baby that died at, I believe the baby was about a year old when the baby died. And she was super young when she had that baby. Super young, super young. So Crystal had kids too. They were both mothers. But Kylan's child was killed. So some of you, I'm sure, had heard about that. And probably that's news for a lot of people. But anyway, I wanted to put that information in there. There's a lot of trouble in that family, in the Schulte family. Sadly, very, very sadly. Her dad seems like such a sweet man, her biological dad. So on that, we will wrap it up so we don't get cut off. Thanks so much for being here with me, you guys. You know what to do today, right? Take care of yourself, take it easy, breathe, get your rest, get your exercise, get your nutrition, get your hydration, get your kindness, right? And then there's that whole Christmas thing. Hit that like button. Thanks. All right, you guys, I'm going to hit the end of stream button and I will see you later this afternoon and have my computer all fixed up by then, I'm sure. Hopefully, fingers crossed.